All right. Good afternoon, trainees, and welcome to Flutter class. So we're going to continue building, setting up our e-commerce app. Yes, we already started setting up the UI for this, right? So we've done this very splash screen. Now we'll move over to building the onboarding. The onboarding screen is made up of 3 pages with a button and dots, right? And text and image, of course. So let's get right to work. Of course, there's going to be a point where you're actually going to do majority of the work, like how you add to cart, how you um, carry out some other logics like see the network took everyone out, so I don't just understand. Okay. All right, so let's continue. Now at our splash screen. So like I said, we'll move over to building our, but let's run our app and okay, on screen, wait for it to build. While it builds, we're going to come up with other screens. Okay, I have onboarding page and onboarding screen. So our screen, images look this way. It has a picture, a little bit of almost half the screen, half the length of the screen. Here is curved, here is curved, here is curved. Then large text. I think this text so similar to this. Okay. This and this. All right. Let me see how I can reduce this. And for this onboarding page, I'm going to set up a stateless widget and then name this onboarding page. Okay. Now this onboarding page, let's see. Now remember, like I said, the goal is to see how you can get a pixel perfect application, all right? Mobile application. Just exactly as what you see on the image, on the design. You replicate it in your application. I don't want this to cause error. That's why I'm just pausing for the moment. I want it to run. Now, this is where we're going to actually be making use of this package page indicator. Right? Yes. Smooth page indicator. Okay, so we have our screen. It's running. It's loading. Okay. So now let's have this return. All right. Now, what I want to set on this page is the image. So let me make this top image section. Okay. Now in this image section, this place is quite technical, so I'm going to like set up a widget to take care of that image. But in as much as that is concerned, let's add maybe like the text, more like, so I'll just leave that part and move over to title. Okay. Now this title has to do with the text here. Online home store and furniture is looking bold. So I'm going to introduce a padding here. Okay, I'm having 3 days there. This padding, let's use symmetric horizontal. Now this horizontal, we have padding of 24. So let me see. App size. Remember, we already have this set up already. App size. It's running slow. Why? Dots. I think we should have padding. This radius is okay. We make use of extra large 24. I think that works. Child text widget. And then we're going to have our title here, but let me just leave it as title 1. I leave it as title 1. Then probably give it text align. The text align the center. Yes, because this text here is centralized. And then style is going to be I think we already defined, let me say, hub text style, okay. Hub text style. Let's see, uptype. If we use uptype 2, this one is okay. This block. Okay, block. Let's make use of block. Now, what I did here is that I'm actually particular text. Instead of taking this color here, white, I'm actually defining it on the onboarding page. On this So even though it's going to take the font size and the font weight, but I want the color to be defined here. So that's by introducing this dot copy width. All right. Of course, you can add other arguments like font size if you want. All right. So you can see. So that's how you do it. Okay. All right, so we have this now. Now, that's for the text. Now, for the subtitle, all right, you can just come down here and do same thing. Subtitle. You can still bring this and paste here. But when we're changing the color to gray, then here is going to be subtitle. Okay, just subtitle. Of course, I'm going to change this text, all right, so that it can display the text we have on each page. Remember, we're applying OOP such that we don't have to repeat this 3 times, or yes, 3 times, like 2 more times, where you have to now copy this and replace it again. You now have a longer length of source code. No, one is such that only one, writing only this takes care of every other text, right? So now this text is going to be, instead of using app title, we'll use tag line. Yes, because this one, we're using a font medium size and then font weight of 500, which is lesser. Okay. So we have this ready. Then now for the image, I'm going to set up a widget. It's something I'll have to do. I'm going to set up a widget for that. And what is that widget? Anyway, before I get to that, let's go over to our onboarding screen. STL onboarding screen. Going to introduce a safe area here. Return. Sorry, this is supposed to be a scaffold. Okay. And then we'll have a body. Safe area. Right. Okay. Then let's have a column children at the top, just to although maybe not part of the design, but so that you can have an idea, all right, of how it's done. I'm just going to introduce a skip button at the top. Sometimes usually you can have a skip button below, depending on the design, all right? Well, let me just add this and give it some adding. It's going to be all, let's say up size. Let's see, D. Child. I'm going to use align because you can use this. Alignment dots. Alignment. Okay. This. With this, you can actually set the position of the alignment, the X and Y axis. But I'm going to use this and at the top right. So we're here, top right. So we'll go select top right. And just make it easier. Then I'm going to bring in child text button, widget, and press. This one is going to to do this, actually okay, so I already set up string constant, right? For skip, we have next and back. All right, so I'm going to just text, I'm going to make it up string dot skip. Look for skip, right? Now, I already told you the difference between writing constants and just writing it into double strings on your screen in the previous class. So now that we have this, set up a style, text style, dot section header tagline. Let me use tagline because it's actually gray. Yeah, so I can use gray for that. Only that, okay, I think the size too might be okay. If it's not okay, then we can make adjustments to it. Remember, I'm just actually setting this up. It's not like you have it on the screen. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to be having is page view. Let's see. I'm going to call this page view. Now, this basically has to do with the controllers, all right? But we've not set up controllers for onboarding, right? So that will come in later after we've set up our controllers, right? Then, because we also have bottom. Let me refer to this as bottom section. Bottom section that has to do with these indicators, 3 indicators, and then our button, and then navigation buttons, right? So we have page view, button section, navigation, buttons. Okay. Now, which one do we set up now? That way, this bottom section will introduce this indicator, but it also requires controllers. So, let's work with the navigation buttons. But have we set up widget for buttons? I doubt. We've not set up. So this will require us to set up buttons. So this will be on pause for now because these are buttons that are going to be needed in all of our screens. This is very important, right? Okay, so let's go over to set up our buttons. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a folder and call this widget. We'll have custom that. This is the proper way to name your dat files. It must always have dat. Okay. Now this custom, let's set up a widget that exact look of this button here, either this or this. So I'm going to set up a class of custom button. That extends less. Okay. Now remember, I'm always naming widgets just the way I name the files on the left panel under Explorer to identify. Okay. Now, if you look at the button, honestly, I don't know what's wrong with the network. Seriously. It's not like it's raining. Okay, so if you look at our button, you can see it has text, right? So let me come here and do final string text. This takes care of the text. Then what else? Of course, void callback, so that when you click on the button, it responds to your click. So more like a function, what it should do. All right. So we have final void callback. Callback on pressed. What should happen when it's pressed? Okay. What else again? It has a color. Button has a color, and the text too has sound. Final color, background. If you notice the way we write our or name our files, small letters, all small letters, no capital letter. This file here. This is snake, all right? Case is referred to as snake case. Then you see that here we make use of small letters and then big letters. That's referred to as camel case, all right? Small letters and then capital letter. That's camel case. Why this is snake case? All right. So there's a difference between that. So take note of that as well. And then we also have, now this takes care of the background color of the button. Then we also have final color of the text. I'm going to refer to this as text color. Double height of the button, width, final double width. I get this correct. Okay. Then, okay. Well, this doesn't have an icon, but if you notice, this particular button has icon. Login with Google, login with Facebook. So we have the Google icon and the Facebook icon. So in terms of this one, we'll still add it, right? So we'll do final icon data. Icon. Then now when you click on the button, it should probably have a loading icon, a loading state. Usually when you click buttons, it's telling you that, okay, you should exercise patience a little. It's trying to detect loading circular progressive indicator. Or have final bool. Now this bool gives us true or false, right? So now this button the login with Google, it's outlined, it has border. The background is white, but it has border. So let's add final bool is outlined. Okay. Now, after we've done this, I'm not sure there's any other thing that needs to be taken into consideration. So now that we have that, let's set up our constructors, custom button. Something like this now. So while this other one represents this, so if I just maybe like copy this and paste in here, that settles it. We const right? So this is just stateless widget. All right, so I'll take that off, and now here I'm going to write out my okay. So we're going to do required. Of course, you can see from the button there's what is actually required and what is not actually required. Because why? It's either true that this button has a background and this one does not, or this one is not outlined, but this one is outlined. Now, they all have text. All buttons have text, right? So that is like something that is required, is a must. This dot text, that's for the first one. Yeah, that's for the first one. So I'm going to do it such a way that they are not all required. So for the rest of them, what I'm going to do is, let me do this. First, do this. Vulnerable is loading. Okay. Let me I'll remove this one. This one is can be here width. This one can define the width, right? And the height, because the width of this long button is not the same as the width of this short one. So we can define that. Text color, they are not all white. So we have white text. Then here we have green text, primary text color. So we'll leave that background to unpressed. So let's move on. We're going to have required this dot unpressed. Okay, we should have this here. All final variables must be initialized for background color height. And 5 orders aren't. Try adding initializers for the fields. So that's what we're doing now. Okay, that's why we're still having this red here. Then for this one that is with comma, can just do anyway, there's actually, we can actually do this like if you want, okay, this text color, we can still in a way, let me see, bring this, come here, and paste it here. You can do it like this, all right, if you want. So that it just be on a straight line because they are both colors. So instead of repeating this, you can just place it on a straight line. If you want it the other way, fine. It's up to you, all right? So then we'll have these dots, background color, and then have this dot text color, and then we'll have this dot height, this dot width, this dot icon, And then for this one is loading and outlined. They're going to be this dots equal to false. It's equal to true. Okay, so now we've included our constructors, right, for all of this. Now it says missing concrete implementation of abstract class. Okay, that's because we've not added at override. Override, then widgets. You build context. Context. Okay. Return. Now it should return a container because that's what our button should look like. Should return a container or a text box, whichever one. Container with width. This width is going to be this or double dot infinity. Height. It's going to be height. Now let's see. We don't have button height defined. Button height. We could actually have that defined, right? I think it's actually possible we can have that defined somewhere in our constant utils. Button height. Let's say static const double what do we give it? What does this look like? This look like a height of, let's give it 50 first. All right. Can you say up size to the bottom height? Right. So now that we have that, let's move over to the next thing, which is child. Now, this child, we're going to say if it's outlined, we're going to bring if it's outlined. Then let's have outlined button. It already has the unpressed. So I'm just okay. And then compressed is going to be no, I can't use this here since I'm setting up button. So I'm unpressed. Then let's see, is loading. If it's loading, right? No, it's not going to do anything. But if it's not loading, then should be unpressed. Yeah, this is just for this one. And then here, style line button. Dot style from foreground color. Foreground color. It's not going to be the text color. Now you can see we're making reference to each of these initializers. Text color, right? We've made reference to is outlined, is loading, text color, then height, width. So there's still others that are left. Now this text color is going to be text color or app colors dot primary. Okay. Right. Then I think we can also have, let's see, side. The side should be a border side. With a color of the background color. Yeah. Or app size. dot primary. Did I say app size? No. App color rather. The primary. Okay. Then we'll look at the shape here. Okay. This shape. Now, if you notice, the button is having radius, rectangular radius. So here we'll be making use of rounded rectangle border. Yeah, round rectangle border. Okay. And then border radius of border radius dot circular. Then here we'll bring in app size dot, we have radius dot lg radius. Yeah. So let's make use of MD. All right. If it's too curved, not looking like exact, then we can make adjustments. Right. So let's have that. What else again? Okay, so we now have child. Now this child is going to be view button, going to do view button content. Now bringing this because remember we had this, so this will have to also be here. Then we'll have elevated. Let me bring in elevated button. Now this elevated button when pressed, it's going to when it's unpressed, what should happen? If it's loading, is true. All right, this is what it means by if it's loaded is true, because initially it's false. When it was initialized, it's false. But when it's now unpressed and it's loading, nothing happens. Null, because null means nothing, like no activity. There's nothing, and empty. All right, means empty. So while it's loading, then, but if it's not loading, have unpressed. Okay. Then can also bring our star here. And this star is going to be elevated button. Style from, because the ways you can actually do your buttons. All right. The style from, let's have our background color. Now background color is going to be background color or app colors, the primary. Okay. Then We have a foreground color. The foreground color is going to be text color. Or app colors dot white. Yeah, because its color is white, is white. So we just did that. By the time we call in our button, it's either this outline button or the elevated button. Okay, so whichever one. Now, after setting this up, let's introduce our shape. Because shape button needs to have a shape, rounded rectangle border with a border radius. Border radius is circular. Excuse me. Up sizes. Or up size. Yeah. Dots. This should be radius.md. What is that? Okay. Place elevation 0. Then child is going to be build button contents. Okay. All right. Now we have this done. Now the reason why it's still red because we've not provided like a method for this. Now, if you notice, we've not used our icon. We've not touched this. We've just been making use of this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So right now, I'm going to come here and do widget and then make reference to this. And then we're going to define this. Now, if is loading, right? If it's supposed to be in brackets. If is loading, return size box with a width of, let me say, 10. And give this 10. And the height 20. Now that circular indicator that usually rolls when you click a button, that is what I'm defining here now. That if is loading, all right? If is loading. So if it's loading, then it should bring up that circular progress indicator. Yeah. What should be the width size or the stroke width? That is how thick should the loading circular progress indicator be. Yeah, let me just give it 2. And then now this is not actually, you don't actually maybe see this on the Figma designs when designers actually design this. This is actually you bringing your expertise now as a developer. Okay, there are things you ought to know or understand as a developer that, okay, if I do this, what should happen next? What should be going on? You know, there are just some UI implementations that you need to bring in to the project while you're building. It's not just for a designer to just give you a design and you just start building. No, you need to ask questions, right? If there are things you don't see, you can point out that, okay, what should happen before going to the next screen? Or when I click on this button, which screen should appear next? You know, stuff like that. So we'll have value color. I think I did something like this in that of the splash screen. Always stop animation. Yeah. It's outlined. App color. If it's outlined, app colors dot primary. If not, app color dot white. Now, what this means is that if the button is outlined, the primary color should be primary. That is, that loading indicator should show green. But if it's not outlined, if the button is not outlined, then here it should show white, since the text is white. All right, that's what we just did here now. I think there's something I'm missing here. Let's see. Color. Okay. Outlined. Yeah. This here. Always start animation. A non-expression can't be. Okay. Non-expression can be. Yeah, of course. Oh, no. Now, if it's icon, so I'm going to come here and then bring in another if statement. If the icon is not null, it should return a row. Yeah. Let's see. It should return a row. Of children. And icon. This one, I need. Size of the icon. App size. Remember, we already defined icon size. So icon small. Yes. Then sized box. the width. Up size dots. Let's do so I'm going to make it outsize.md. Yeah. And then of course text. This is okay. And this is still inside. Text. Okay. This is just going to be text. And then style. It's going to be text style. Let's see. Text style. Let's see, primary button, text style. Leave it like this. If it's loaded return size box, this value color from width or restocked. Okay. The inverse ratio can be expressed as a condition. Try checking that the value isn't null before using it as a condition. It's outlined. Let me see. Okay. Then, so if you have a prime button, let's see if we see this primary button. Okay. Font size 1MD, say 100. Okay, we can always adjust the size. So come down here and then she return text. Return text style. Up text style. This should be this is for the text. So for the texts, the section header or input field. There is a tagline. Let me still use the primary button anyway. They don't seem to match, then can return. Let me see. Okay, here. I'd rather use a size boxed. Okay. Now you can see we just set up a widget for the custom button. Now, why do we need this custom button widget? So that in every of your screens, you don't have to start writing all of these codes just for your button alone in each screen. All you need to do is just go over to, let's say, for instance, we needed this button, or we need this button in our splash screen, right? So I'll just go over here. Is this splash? I'll be onboarding. No, onboarding rather. Here where we have navigation buttons, right? Where we have navigation button. Okay. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a row. Bring in a row, and then of course, children. These children will now have let's see, a back. This is a row, all right? So we have back here, this back button, but it doesn't have any container. So there's something we might do about this, but anyway, let me just introduce this. So here we have back button, right? And this back button is going to be, remember, since we're using getX in this, will be X. Supposed to have, can't do this without a controller. I can't set this up yet without a controller. Because you actually need a controller. But anyway, let's say for instance, we have something like this, custom button. Can you see this now? This custom button is making reference to this, all of this. So instead of always writing and repeating this inside this onboarding screen, then you now go again over to login screen, and you go to sign up screen, and then you move to the home screen and every other screen that requires this button. You'll now be replicating all of this long source code just for the button. I mean, it's going to make your work like tiring and all clogged fused together. You won't be able to maintain your code like that. So that means by the time you want to make changes to buttons, maybe perhaps there's a mistake, you have to be going to every other screen to make the changes, when you can just actually come here and only make the change, and then it reflects in every screen you have called this custom button. All right. Now it's bringing this text and this unpressed because they are required. The button must have a text. Next, login, logins with this, login with that. Then the unpressed function. When you click on this, is it navigating to another screen? Or when you click on this, is it going to carry out the function? When you click on this button, is it going to bring up a modal for the user to see and carry out other activities? This is where your function comes in, right? So now we set up our custom button. Though we still need other buttons as well. Like let's see. I think this is it for the onboarding screen. Then let's see if we can quickly set up a controller. Now onboarding controller. Because I need a controller to be in place at least. So let's see what we can do as quickly as possible. For this, we're going to be, of course, a class of onboarding controller, right? That extends getX controller. Now I want to see how we can have these write-ups, okay? In here. So I'm going to be initializing, first of all, our storage. Okay, so we have a storage service, storage service equals to or assigned to this should be get defined storage service. Okay, so now that we've initialized our get storage, now let's define some the pages, all right? So we'll have final page, all right? Final page controller page controller. Okay. Then, yeah, no, this one is not defined yet. So I can just leave this out first. I don't like seeing too many red lines. Now let's do a final rx int current page 0.obs. Okay, current page, which is the first page or any of the pages. All right. There are three pages there. Now, for this, I'm going to define onboarding model. All right. And then methods for the next page and the previous page. All right. So if I should do, let's say, Next page, we'll have void. Next page, is coming case, right? Now, if current page the value is less than onboarding pages dot length minus 1. Okay. Current page dot value is going to be incremental. Then page controller dot next page. The duration you can also define its duration anyway, or just to make things a little bit easier, but we can work with this for now. Duration, it should be to bring in like an animation duration here. See, just later on time. So bringing an animation duration. Now, cost dots. Can use any of these options. is in out. Yeah. Because we should be able to use this collection command animation calls. All right. And use this, then you need to use something else. But definitely I'll get to that. And here is going to be else. There's some things that are not actually defined yet. That's why. So what do we do? Even though I've not defined it, but we'll just place something. Let's say complete onboarding. We definitely have to define a lot, like the model. Now move to defining the model, and then all of the, what do you call it now, the text. It's going to be such that the onboarding model or onboarding pages is going to have the onboarding title, which is this, and subtitle. So what I'll just do is copy this and place as, this is for page 1, all right, this is for page 2, and then page 3. I think they're up to, yeah, this is for page 1, like that. So onboarding title, onboarding subtitle, and then I'll now have to go back to this screen, and where I have those texts, the onboarding page here, yes, will now be controller onboarding page, depending on the current screen. So if the current screen at the start is this, that's what will appear here with the title. If the current screen is this third one, then it will take note of the text, the onboarding page title, and the subtitle. So only just this will make, there'll only be updates based on the current screens. So we're still going to continue more on the controller and then setting up models. This whole screen requires a lot, so I don't want to really rush it. Okay, so this is like 1:51. I'm going to end the class here. Does anyone have question? I'm going to stop recording right now. Does anyone have question? Is okay, Dell, you're here. Dell, have you been able to resolve your challenge? Modupe, please help me to stop the recording from your end.
Good afternoon, sir. I haven't
Yes.
been able to resolve my problem.